Climate change, adaptation, and disaster risk reduction. So, climate change and disaster risk reduction. According to the Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change, it leads to changes in the frequency, intensity, duration, and timing of extreme weather and climate events, and also it causes increasing sea level and temperature rises. Difference between climate change adaptation and disaster risk reduction. So, disaster risk reduction has geophysical hazard, the risk assessment, and long history. So, in geophysical hazard has four components: earthquakes, tsunamis, landslide, and volcanic eruption. Risk assessment based mainly on historical data, and long history is over 1,000 years. In climate hazards, storm, flood, landslide, temperature extreme, drought, fires, and etc. The impact: death, injuries, and population shifts, loss of sources, security, and access to shelter. Clear political commitments. SDGs, Paris Agreement, Sydney Framework, Scope for Coherence in DRR and CAA toward resilience. Need for an exclusive approach, all of states and all of society approach. Climate change adaptation, slow onset event, sea level rise, the desertification, non-disaster aspect of CCA, including positive benefit from climate change, risk assessment, risk models and projection, emerging topics since world climate. The climate of the world is now known to have frequently and extensively in 3 or so million years, during which humans have inhabited the Earth. Climate has changed and is currently changing because of a wide range of different natural factors which operate over a variety of time scale. The possible mechanism: gas emissions and aerosol generation. The green the greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide. So the greenhouses effect occur in the atmosphere because of presence of certain gases and absorb infrared radiation. Light and ultraviolet radiation from the sun are able to penetrate the atmosphere and warm Earth's surface. Ozone depletion and climate change. The ozone depletion causes cooling over Antarctica, which in turn causes atmospheric cell to shift poleward, which alters perception patterns in the subtropics and cause of southward expansion of the subtropical dry zones. Aerosols. Aerosols are finely divided solid or liquid particles disperse in the atmosphere. Global dimming and global brightening. The global may, to a certain degree, have masked the greenhouse effect. So, since about 1990, the trend has been reversed and it's referred to as global brightening. This may have enabled the effects of rising greenhouses gas loading to have become more evident during 1990s. So vegetation and albedo change. Albedo is a term used to describe the proportion of energy reflected and hence is a measure of the ability of the surface to reflect the radiation. Forest irrigation and climate. Its replacement of forest with crops in addition to leading to change in surface albedo of the type just discussed also changes some other factors that may have climatic significance, including surface aerodynamic roughness, leaf and stem areas, and amount of evapotranspiration. The possible effect of water diversion scheme lakes is it has often been implied that the presence of large body in land water must modify the climate around its shores and therefore that artificial lakes have the significant effect of local or regional climate. The urban climate, which with the increasing number of people living big cities, there is an ever increasing interest in how urban areas modify their climate. Disaster risk reduction. So disaster is a serious disruption of the function of a community or society involving widespread human, material, or environmental losses and impacts which exceed exceeds the ability of the affected community to cope using only its own resources. Risk and disaster risk. The term disaster risk therefore refer to a potential, not actual and realized disaster losses in lives, health status, livelihoods, assets, and services which could occur in a particular community or society over the same specified future time period. Hazard defined as dangerous phenomenon, substances, human activity, or condition that may cause loss of life, injury, or other health impacts, property of damage and livelihood of services, social and economic disruption, or environmental damage. Disaster risk reduction, also referred to as a just disaster reduction, is defined as the concept and practice of reducing disaster risk through systematic effort to analyze and manage the causal factors of disasters, including through reduced exposure hazard, lessened vulnerability of people and property wise management of land and environment, and improved preparedness uh, and adverse effect. To reduce disaster risk product, reduction has this awareness like preparedness, mitigation, response, recovery, and prevention. So, disaster risk management is a systematic process of using administrative di- directives of the organization and operational skills and capacity to implement strategies, policies, and improve coping capacities in order to lessen the adverse impacts of hazard and their possibility of disaster.